I haven't seen
Yes.
anyone yet, so good to see you all today.
Do you see the slide that I share?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So
Oh,
we
someone
begin
raised
now.
their hand.
Um,
Wait, sorry.
yes. Sure.
Uh, put Thirat, no? Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Charles. Sorry, Charles.
Yes,
um,
Charles.
I can.
Em Tanya, like
Hmm?
em Tanya, xin số
Will
Tanya.
you be the only one to present?
Teacher,
No, I can't let.
I present China teacher.
Okay, Saina.
But do you see the slide that I share?
Yes, yes, I see.
Okay. So we begin now. So first of all, good evening lecturer and good evening class. Today I'm going to give a presentations about the People's Republic of China, and we have Saina and Chandanit as group one. And so here's our content that I'm going to cover today. It's quite a lot, so it will be fast.
Mm,
So starting with historical event and key figures. So China declared independence in 1949, and then it's introduced Great Leap Forward, which is a 5 years program about the farming in 1958, and then it introduced one-child policy in 1979 in order to reduce population growth, and it's opened door to investment and development in 1986. And China signed trade agreement with 10 Southeast Asian countries in 2014, and also economic growth in 2015. So moving on to the geographical trade, so China is one of the largest country after Russia and Canada, and it's China divided into four regions such as South, North, Northwest, and the Shanghai Tibetan areas. China has 14 Asian mainland as its immediate neighbor countries, and it also the maritime area divided into Bohai, Yellow, South China Sea, and the East China Sea. And China has gem diamond as and chromium as its national resources. So talking about the government and politics, China is like the type of government of China is unitary communist, and it is a socialist state. And there are three branches in the government of China. So first, executive, which contain of president, vice president, premier, vice premier, and state council. And for the legislative, which is the highest power, that's also select president and vice president and review laws from the executive branch. For the judiciary, it consists of four courts, which are Supreme People's Court, Higher People's Court, Intermediate People's Court, and lastly is a Basic People's Court. So about the culture and society, our group have made into bar chart about the population's growth, which compared data between 2020 and 2021. We have a population growth, death rate, birth rate, and unemployment rate, and lastly is religious growth, which I make into pie chart. And talking about the economy, China is the upper middle income country, and for the Human Development Index or HDI, China ranked 85, and life expectancy is 76.9 years. Expected years of schooling is 14 years, and GNI per capita is here, and GDP per capita is this amount. And affiliations to economic and trade organization, China is also one of the member of APEC and also one of the dialogue partner of ASEAN and also the partner of WHO. And we make it into a pie chart about the main import and main export, and we can see the difference here. So moving on to the military and national defense. So China has North Korea as its defense alliance. And for the recent event, China also involved into South China Sea dispute, the U.S.-China trade war, and the India-China border dispute. So talking about the international relation, actually China has no allies, but mostly it just friends with partnership diplomacy. For example, China has Cambodia as its best friend, And for the involvement with the UN, China is one of the 5 permanent member in the UNSC. So here's the end of our presentation, and thanks for paying attention.
Okay, thank you, delegate from China. Very detailed presentation. A lot of points are shown there. Is there any question from the other group to China? No question. All right, thank you, China. May I now hand the floor over to Estonia?
So, good evening, lecturer and class. We are Republic of Estonia. Our content.
Okay, good evening.
So, and component of the executive, which is new judiciary branch. The Prime Minister appoint the cabinet approving by Parliament, and we have also 3 branch, which is yes and and we also have 3 court, chief of state and capital government, President Christine Cajulis, and Prime Minister and Prime Minister Kajas Kalas. And for the main political party and representation, Estonia is approaching 26 chair. Politics.
Sorry, Senasa, we couldn't hear you clearly. Hello.
Yes, hello, teacher.
Okay, now here.
For the Geographical Trade, Estonia located in Eastern Europe, and its neighbors are Russia and Latvia. Maritime claim and fishing zone are territorial sea, exclusive economic zone. Climate terrains are maritime, lowland, and marshes. Water security, we have 3 main watersheds: Gulf of Finland, Lakes Percy, and the Gulf of Riga. Environmental concern, we have wastewater pollution, air pollution, and the dioxide or sulfurs of dioxide. National resource, we have rare earth element, pit clay, limestone, oil shale, phosphorite, sand, cement, dolomite, and parabola. Society, population growth 9.03 births and 13.06 deaths. And religion growth, Orthodox, Lutherans, and Methodist, Seventh-day Adventists, Roman Catholic, Pentecostal, and the others. And awareness of history is we influence from the our tradition influence from Russia and Sweden. And literacy rate is 99.8%, unemployment rate in 1.8%, healthcare condition 3.47 and 77.060 years of life expectancy. State communication, transportation service, strong and GDP 31.47 billion, and the degree of self-sufficiency we derive from machinery, engineering products. Distribution of income, we are the 4th country among the 45 countries in EU. Inflation rate and cost of living 2.3%. Main industry, agriculture industry service. Import machinery, engineering products, and export machinery, equipment products. So defense alliance, the US, NATO, and the EU. And for the conflict external internal, with Russia and the European integration, military service from 18 to 70 years of age, and expenditure and rate of investment 2% of GDP. Allies bloc and coalition, NATO, EU, and the OECD. Involvement with UN, we are non-permanent members 2021. And we are the country, Estonia is an EDC country. Our presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Estonia. Any question for Estonia? In case anyone lost the track in the middle. Okay, thank you, Senasa, for very good presentation. Now may I invite Franz to take over the floor. Okay, we're at board.
Please wait for a moment. Okay, so greetings all my beloved fellow delegates and greetings teacher. We're from the country of French Republic, and representing French Republic, we have delegate Jun Chailong and which is me. So for our table of contents, we have divided into 8 parts. And first, we're going to talk about the general information. So our country's official name is French Republic. Our term of citizen is French. Our capital city is Paris. Our official language is French. Our currency is euro since we're in the EU. Our national symbol is the Gallic rooster, and our national colors, we have blue, white, and red. Our national anthem is La Marseillaise. So for geographical trade, we are located in the northwestern of Europe, and our country is consisted of a total of 643,801 square kilometers and a total of 600,000 of 6,400 and 640,427 square kilometers in land and 3,374 in water. Our coastline is a total of 4,000 kilometers. Our maritime claims and fishing zones, we have a total of 12 nanometers in territorial sea and 24 nanometers in contiguous zone and 200 nanometers in EEZ. And for our climate and terrain, we are temperate and terrain. And next for geographical trade, our water sources come from the surface of our river basins. Our environmental concerns include acid rain, air pollution, and also water pollution, mainly from the urban and vehicle emissions, and also from the agricultural runoff as well. And for our availability of national resources, we have coal, iron ore, uranium, zinc, and as well as fish and petroleum and clay as well. So next, for government and politics, our type of government is semi-presidential republic. Our component of the executive, legislative, and judiciary branches included a council of ministers appointed by the president at the suggestion of the prime ministers, bicameral parliament, and also the court of cassation as well. And for our chief of state and head of government, we have President Emmanuel Macron as as the chief of state, and we also have Prime Minister Jean Castex as the head of state. And for our main political parties, we have the LREM, the LR, the Republicans, and lastly the PS, which is the Socialist Party. And lastly, for the stability of the present political structure, the LREM has been in power since 2017. Next, for the economy, we have a total of 2.716 trillion USD in GDP and 46,000 of national income. And for degree of self-sufficiency,
Can you please go to Just very briefly because you have around 1 minute left.
Okay, okay. I'm going to skip a few parts. Our main industry, tourism is our main sources of is the main industry in our countries. For our main export, we have machinery and transportations and many more, such as chemicals and pharmaceuticals. For our main imports, we have machinery, including computer vehicles and also electrical machinery, equipments, and many more, such as plastics. Yeah, and for our culture and society, we have a total of 11.7.
You can skip this part. Please go to military and international relations.
Okay, for allies, blocs, and coalitions, we have the Francophone, which are the countries that we have done the we have uh, we also have the EU, and we're also related to the NATO and many more. And yeah, for involvement with the UN, we have been a part of the UNSC. Yeah. And lastly, for military and national defense, we are an ally of the NATO. And for our main conflict, we have the Operation Camel, which has been since 2014. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, French Republic. May I now give the floor to India? Okay, which mean, are you going to share slide to us? Share the
My
screen.
teammate is going to share like.
Okay.
Good evening, class and lecturer. I am Sari Wichumin, the delegate from Republic of India, and today's presentation is about our country report. And I go with another two delegation who are Jane Sinan and Liz Chita. And here's our content. We divide into seven main points as mentioned on the slide. So now welcome to India. First of all, we would give all of you our general information. So our official name is Republic of India with the Indian nationality. We have New Delhi as our capital city and Hindi as our official language. And we have Indian rupee as our currency. So now let's talk. Next slide, please. So now let's talk about our geographic portrait. So according to the map, we put on the slide, India is located in the southern Asia, and we have Bangladesh, Bhutan, Burma, China, Nepal, and Pakistan as our neighborhood country. Talking about climate, India is vary from one area to one area. Just like in the south, it is like hotter and more humid than the north. And about the terrain in India, in the south of India, it is upland plain. While the Ganges, which is the main river of India, is a flat rolling plain. Of course, the desert in west and Himalaya in north is also flat rolling plain. And you guys will see the word water security here. So in India, it is a result of the rainfall, groundwater reserve, and proximately to river basin. And as other country, India also face some challenges and concerns, specifically on the environmental sector, including deforestation, air pollution, and water pollution, and so on. Even though there's problem, but at the same time, India contain a lot of national resources such as the Himalaya and so on. So now let's talk. Let's move to our government and politics. So India is the is more is well known as the most popular democracy country with a parliamentary system, and our government comprised into three branches, which is executive, legislative, and judicial branch. And our country is the federal state, which we have the president and the prime minister. Also, we have two main political parties, which is the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is currently the ruling party, and the Indian National Congress. So now let's talk about our culture and society. It is this information is from CIA and 2020 estimation. So we have the population growth data, the distribution of racial and religious group, literacy rate, unemployment rate, and healthcare condition, as we mentioned on the slide. So now let's talk about our economy. So our gross domestic product is around 3,000 trillion US dollar, and our degree of sufficiency include the traditional village farming, handicraft, and so on. And it has 35.7% of the distribution of income, 3.7% of inflation rate and cost living, and also 23% of the main industry. And the import and export we already mentioned on the slide. Next part we're going to talk about the military and national defense. So our defense alliance is US. We have like US India military alliance, which is more active and involved to help us in the border conflict with China. And we also participate or involved in the external conflict, which is the India-China conflict border, which happened for so long until now. And India also have the must protect from Muslim due to the exclusive or citizenship law in India. I'm talking about the military service in India. The youth between 16 to 18 have to serve for the military. Next slide, please. So now let's talk about our last part, which is the international relation. So our alliance, our good partner, like good friend, are Israel, United States, Japan, Nepal, and Iran. Just you see in the picture on the slide. And our key organization is the the UN, WHO, WTO, G27, Asian Regional Forum, IMF, and so on. And according to the research, if we refer to the division between the North and the South, India is considered as the developing country. So this is the end of our country report. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate from India. Now let's move to Ireland. Okay, Ireland, you.
Excuse me. Can I have a few seconds? My teammate is sharing the screen. Oh yeah. Evening.
Okay.
Yes. Good evening, delegates and monitor. Today I'm gonna present about country report of Republic of Ireland. So our group members consist of Grenadines, Lampanyaroan, and Vincent. So for general information, our official name is Republic of Ireland. Our capital city is Dublin. In Ireland, we speak Irish and English. Our currency is Euro. Our nationality is Irish, and there are about 5,200,000 people in Ireland. Our total land area is 70,182 square kilometers. So next is next is geographical trade. So in our region is located in European continent. Our neighbor is the United Kingdom. We are separated from them by the Irish border, separate us from Northern Ireland. Our climate is temperate maritime, with mild winter, cool summer, and consistent humidity, overcast all the time. Our terrain is flat, so it's great for agriculture, and there are sea cliffs on the west coast. Our natural resources are natural gas, heat, copper, lead, zinc, and many more. So in our society and culture, in our religion, we are mostly Roman Catholic. and some other religions such as Muslim, Christianity. Also, there are unspecified. So, as for our ethnic group, we are mostly and other white ethnicity, as well as Asian and Black. So, next, so in our economy, in the past we relied heavily on agriculture, but in 1990s the country has a high economic growth. That was caused by technology industry. So starting from 1991, Ireland became the country with the biggest growth of GDP by 9%. And about, our distribution income is 32.8%. Our inflation rate and cost of living is 0.88%. Our main industry is that we export and we also trade, and we have main import and main export. For politics, the president of Ireland is the head of the state and is unitary parliamentary democratic republic. There are three major political parties: Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael. Next, please. So we are in many key organizations such as the United Nations, NATO, EU, and WTO. As for our main alliance are United States, United Kingdom, and China. And our foreign policy, we go by our prosperity, our place, and our influence. For defense, the defense in Ireland called Department of Defense, that led by the Minister for Defense, and our military age is between 18 to 24, but naval service until 27. So the main relationship is with, again, UK, US, and China. These are references, and thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. A bit over the time. Okay, so next one, Kenya, please. Okay, Kenya, which one of you is going to present? Ball, Sun Hua, or Som Tai? Hello, Kenya. I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, teacher. I'm just okay.
Okay, Som Tai will.
Yeah, so the country backgrounds is the official name is the Republic of Kenya. The capital city is Nairobi. Population is 54 million. The languages are Swahili and English. Geographically speaking, its regions are located in East Central Africa that border with Somalia, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, and Sudan. The maritime claims and fishing zones are territorial sea, exclusive economic zone, and continental shelf, while the climate and terrain are tropical with low plain rise. Second is the politics and governments. The type of government is presidential republic. Executive branches. The power is divided into three branches: executive, legislative, and judiciary branches. The executive branches consist of president, which the cabinet appointed by the president. Legislative branches consist of it is the bicameral parliament with the Senate and National Assembly, while the judiciary branches consist of the Supreme Court and Court of Appeal. And the chief of state and head of government is Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, while the main political party is the National Assembly that was enlarged to 356 with many political parties. The next one is the culture and societies. So in terms of ethnic group, there are 13 big ethnic groups, and also another 27 smaller ethnic groups, while religion consists of Christians, Protestant, Catholic, Muslim, and the rest is Hindus. The poverty rate is 31.6%. Literacy rate is 81.54% in 2018. Unemployment rate is 2.64% in 2019, and birth rate is 27.9, that 5.3 per thousand people. And fertility rate is 3.5 birth per woman. The next point is the economy. The gross domestic product is 95 billion and GDP per capita is 8,600 in 2019. The important sector consists of agriculture, 33%, followed by manufacturing and industry that cover 40%. The major trading partners are Uganda, Pakistan, the United States, UK, India, and China. And the major important export are tea, coffee, sea salt, and many more. While the Human Development Index are 24.7%. This part is military and national defense. Kenya also allied with France, the UK, as well as including China and Italy, Jordan, and Spain in order to import military supply. While there's also participation in recent external and internal conflicts, such as viral mediators in 2015 in Sudan's North-South conflict. And the last one is international relations, in which it allied with it has a block with AU, African Union, also ACP, African Caribbean Pacific Group of States, and ADB, and also involvement with the UN, in which it became one of the members in the UN on 16 December 1963, and has elected as a non-permanent of the UNSC. So that's all for my presentations.
Okay, thank you, Kenya. You really keep up with the time. Thank you for that, and hopefully we hear from you more as the neighboring state of Somalia as well. Any question for the few countries presented just now? Because the first few countries I didn't receive questions, so I assume no one really want to ask about this country report. If you have question, feel free to raise your hand there and we can go to your question. If no, next one, Mexico, please. Okay, Boromai.
Can you easily see my slide?
Yes, can see. It's okay.
Okay, so let's start. So, hello, good evening, fellow delegates. I'm a delegate from the United Mexico States. So, I will be presented about our country reports here. So, first, let's get into our content. We have general information, culture and society, geography, traits, government and politics, economy, international relations, military and defense. So firstly, it's about our general information. As you can see, our flag here. Our official name is United Mexican State. Our term of citizen, of course, Mexican. A capital city, Mexico City. The language we use Spanish because we used to be colonized by Spain. Our currency is Mexican peso. Let's move to culture and society. Here we'll talk about religions. We have a lot of religions in Mexico, but let's just focus on the main one, which is Roman Catholic. Consists of 82.7% of overall populations. The total population we have here is like 128 million, measuring in 2020. Next is the literacy rate, which is at 95.38, which is quite a lot. We can say that human right and the respect of freedoms in Mexico is kind of moderate because we have seen it quite well recently. Next one is the Geographic Trade of Mexico. We're neighbor with Belize, and of course United States, Guatemala, and we're also territorialized by Pacific Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico as well. The total area is like 1 million point 9 square kilometer, which consists of over like 1.9 million square kilometer and like 20,000 square kilometer of water. So we, of course, located in North America or Latin America. Yes, I just told you about the neighbors we have. The environmental concerns we have here is the pollution, the lack of fresh water and deforestation. As you can see, we're surrounded by sea, and the climates we have, it is varies from tropical climates to desert. So next, wait. Can you see me move my screen?
No, it got stuck in geography. Okay, going now.
Okay. So the fourth part is government and politics. So let's go to government first. Our government type is federal presidential republic. Our government is directly elected by simple majority vote that serve 6 years in a single terms or single mandate. Our president name is President Andre Manuel Lopez Obrador. Next, let's move to economy. Our total GDP is like 2.436 trillion dollars. This is from 2017. Our main industry is manufacturing, and our main export is the main export of silver. We're the world's largest silver exporter, and our manufactured goods mostly are, um, you know, electronics, vehicle, auto parts, oil and oil products like in plastic, of course, and for our agricultural goods we have rubbers and you know uh, vegetable and stuff. Our imports
Why
we
running out of time? Please move faster.
okay, so our main import is machinery, aircraft parts, and natural gas. So let's go into international relations. So we're one of the non-permanent members of UNSC since 7 November like 1945. We involved with IGOs including NAFTA, the UN, WTO, OECD, and so on and so forth. Our main allies is the United States, and our main foreign policy is the respect of international law, the equality of state, peaceful resolution, and collective security. So our military and defense, we will go into like the military expenditure, which is 0.5% of total GDP. They have like over 200,000 of military personnel. We have like Army, Navy, Air Force, and 100,000 of National Guards. The recent conflict we've been through is mostly our criminal violence to the drugs-related homicides, and recently it's the failing of anti-crime effort. This crime here, to be specific, it is the crime that is happens in our borders. So that's it for our presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mexico, for the presentation. Up next is Niger.
Hello,
Okay.
could you see my slide? Yes.
Yes, we see. You can start now.
Good evening. Our content. And so the first one, we go with the government and politics. So Niger officially we know as the Republic of the Niger, and the type of the government is semi-presidential republic, which has the president and prime minister at the same time. And the component, we have three, such as the executive, the legislative, and judiciary. The executive, we have shared power by chief of the state is a full Mahamadou, and the head of the government is Britney Rafini. And the legislative is unicameral National Assembly, and it has 171 seats. The judiciary branch is Constitutional Court and the High Court of the Justice. And the main political party is the Party of Democracy and Socialism. And move to the next part is Geographical Trade. And Niger has divided into 7 regions and located in the Western Africa. And as you can see in the picture, the neighbor, we have Algeria, Benin, Libya, Burkina, Chad, Mali, and Nigeria. And due to Niger is the landlocked country and the climate is extremely hot and dry. And as you can see the below picture, the natural resources, we have uranium, salt, petroleum, coal, so on. The next part is culture and society. The population growth is 23 million in 2019. And the distribution of the religious group mostly is Muslim. It has 99.3% of the country. And there are many historical events, as you can see. And the literacy rate is low, only 19.1%. And the unemployment rate is 0.7%. And the life expectancy is 62 years old. And the next part is about the economy. The domestic product GDP is 12 billion in 2019, and for the per capita is $1,225. And the self-sufficiency is greater in food production. And about the main industry, we have mostly is agriculture, like crop and livestock, and main import and export is food, machinery, the high coal, and other raw materials such as uranium, livestock, so on. And about the military and national defense, the defense alliance, we have the G5 Sahel group, which has 5 countries, the Niger, Mali, Chad, Burgundy, and Mauritania. And the conflict is have been attacked by the terrorist group, and they showed in the border with Benin and Nigeria. The military service is 18, and the expenditure is 1.8% of the GDP. And the last part is the international relations. And the Lion block, we have ECOWAS, OIC, G20, and beside this, we have also like WTO, IMF, WHO, so on. And Niger have involved with the UN since 1960, and currently we are the non-permanent member. And the division between North and South, Niger is AEDC, which is less economically developed country. And so this is the end of our presentations.
Thank you, Niger. Any question to Niger or previous country? Okay, Niger, thank you. Next one, Norway.
Hello, everyone.
Okay,
Hello.
we hear you. We hear you. Please.
Can you see it?
Yes, we see.
Okay. Okay. So good evening, fellows delegate, and they are the lecturer. We are the delegate from the Kingdom of Norway, and with the 2 following delegates, Simrat Reni and Tusitikun. And here's the content that I'm going to talk today: the general information, geographical traits, government and politics, the economy, military and national defenses, international relations, and foreign policies. So the general information is Kingdom of Norway has the official name of the Norway is the Kingdom of Norway. The term of citizen, we can use it as Norwegian, and the capital city is Oslo. The language is Norwegian, and the currency is Norwegian kroner. The national symbol is lions, and national color is red, white, and blue. It's actually on the Norway flags. And the national holiday is Constitutional Days. on 17 May, and the national anthem is Hawaii as landed, data landed. We can interpret into English as yes, we love this country. So the geographical trade is here's Norway. It is located in the north part of the Europe, like you see here. Yeah. And the location is of Norway is Northern Europe. Yeah, the neighboring country is as Finland, Sweden, and Russia. The maritime claims and fishing zone is 20 nautical miles. Territorial sea include the three zones, including the three zones, and the climate divided into two: Western Norway and the Eastern Norway. The Western Norway is marine climate, and the Eastern Norway is mountainous. The water security is good water sources, and environmental concern is water pollution, acid raining, and air pollutions. And the national resources have petroleum, natural gas, iron, copper, fish, and hydropower. Talking about the government and politics. Sorry. Talking about the government and politics, Norway has the type of government is parliamentary constitutional monarchy. The power are divided into three branches. The first one is executive, legislative with unicameral parliaments, and the other one is judiciary. Supreme Court is the highest court, and the head of state is His Majesty the King Harald V here, and Her Majesty Queen Sonja of Norway. The head of government is Prime Minister Emma Skolberg, and the main political parties is Conservative Parties and Labour Party. And the present political structure is the Conservative Party won the second term election in 2017. The economy, GDP, Norway GDP has $340 billion, and GDP per capita nearly $63,000. Food the degree of self-sufficiency in food production, inflation rate is 2.1. The three main factors are agriculture, industry, and services. Import $158 billion and export $185 billion. The national defense, the military of Norway are divided into 6 types. The first one is Norwegian Armies, Royal Norwegian Navies, Royal Norwegian Air Force, Norwegian Special Forces, Norwegian Cyber Defense, Home Guards. And the military deployment, Norway has joined under the framework of NATO 100 Norwegian in Afghanistan and 120 Norwegian in Lithuania. And defense alliances, there are 2, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, and Nordic Defense Cooperation. And the international relation, Norway has joined some key organizations such as NATO, OSCE, Arctic Councils, World Bank, IMS, and so on and so forth. And Norway is the founding member of the UN as well, and a non-permanent member in UNSC. And currently, Norway has joined 3 UN peacekeeping mission involvement here, like you see. Okay, and the Norway has some multiple foreign policy. The first one is promoting human rights and democratic principles by protecting human rights defender, promoting freedom of expression, women's rights and gender equality, and promoting humanitarian by providing a safe school for children in conflict area, protecting civilian and health worker in conflict, fighting against sexual and gender-based violence, promoting humanitarian disarmament, engaging in mine clearance program, and fighting against climate change. And the third one is promoting conflict resolution and reconciliation by being a facilitator. Norway is a friendly country. They work as a facilitator. And the last one is working with UN by promoting peace, human rights, and international law. So this is the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Norway. A lot to cover from Norway. Norway also added the point on foreign policy as well. All right, thank you. So next up is Russian Federation.
Excuse me, like, can I, because I do not have my laptop with me today, so can I share it from my another device?
Sure, can, as long as it works. So.
Okay, like, thank you. So can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, we see.
Yeah, thank you, like. So good evening, lecturer and everyone. Sripik and I are from Russia, so we're the representative of Russian Federation physically. So for our country report presentation today, we'll have 6 main points in our contents. And the first point is about geography traits. So as you all know that Russia is the largest country in the world that located in North Asia, with the total areas of 17 million square kilometers, in which 95% is land and another 5% is water. So the climate in Russia, it is hot and dry in summer, and in winter, as you all know, it is pretty cold. And Russia also rich in some resources such as oil, natural gas, coal, bauxite, and timber. And the second point is government and politics. So regarding political system in Russia, we have president as the head of state, and as you all know, he is Mr. President Vladimir Putin. And the second, the prime minister as the head of the government. And our government type is semi-presidential federation. And for state power, we also divided into three main branches, such as executive, legislature, and judiciary. And the third point is about people and society. So in Russia, the total population is 142 million estimated in 2020. And this year, about population growth, it declined by 0.2%. And in Russia, actually, there are more than 120 ethnic groups, and also more than 100 languages. But however, the majority of ethnicity, or basically the people, is still Russian, and the language, the official language, also Russian. And the religion, most people hold the belief of Russian Orthodox, and the literacy age is 99.7%, and employment rate between the age of 15 to 24 is 17%, and the healthcare condition in Russia is surprisingly poor, lacks of the government funds, and also outdated medical equipment, and the medical staff there is not well paid. Regarding the economy, so the GDP of Russia is $1,700 billion, and also the real GDP is 27,000 per capita. Russia stands number 18 for the distribution of income. The inflation rate is 4.4%, and the main industry, calculated by the labor force of occupation. The first one, 9.4% is agriculture. The second one, 27.6% is industry, and the last one is 63% services. So these are the main import and main export for Russia. So basically the main export, I would like to mark it here because, like you all know, that Russia is rich in petroleum and also a lot of oil. So most of their main export are the product related to the natural resources that they have. So for the economy, again, the degree of self-sufficiency. So Russia economy is heavily depending on producing and exporting oil, natural gas, and metals. And for military and national defense, the national defense or the defense alliances is the Collective Security Treaty Organization, or in short CSTO, is the Soviet-led military alliance of 7 former Soviet states that was created in 2002. And the military service age and obligation, both for compulsory and voluntary, from 18 to 27. The expenditure on the area of investment is 4% of GDP. The participation in recent external conflict in the crisis between Russia and Ukraine. This is not recent enough, but this issue is still burning within the society of Russia and Ukraine. So we come to the last point, which is about international relations. So the blocks that Russia has been formed is for key organizations only, like such as APEC, Arctic Council, EAEU, G20, IAEA, UNSC. And the involvement with the UN, Russia has been a member in the United Nations since 24 October 1945. And division between the North and the South, Russia is considered to be a MEDC. Yeah, this is all for
Okay,
Russia, from Russia.
Okay, thank you, Rasha.
Thank
Next
you.
one, Saint Vincent and the Grenadines. Okay, Ratiraj, Are you going to present?
Yes, teacher. Can you see my slide?
Yes, see, also change. You can start now.
Representing same Vincent and using Grenadines. Opening
So, okay,
hello, teacher.
yes, we heard quite a bit of noise from there.
Wait, teacher. I'm not studying from home. Wait, wait. Sorry, sir. There's a little bit of noise.
Is
And
it outside?
so our group member, including me, Vincent not Somali, what? And here is our concern, the general knowledge, government policy, because of the economic and foreign policy. And the first one is general knowledge, the location. The Saint Vincent and the Grenadines is located in the Caribbean Sea, in the southeast Trinidad Island. And the
Quite not you.
hello, I cannot hear you.
See the voice, not your voice. Why is this happening? We heard as if it is raining.
How can you get to the other country and I will come back with
Okay. So we give some time for the Saint Vincent to fix the connection. Is Tunisia ready to take over Saint Vincent now?
yes, teacher.
Okay, you may take the floor now, Tunisia.
Please wait a moment, teacher. My teammate will share the slide.
Okay. Okay, we see the screen from Moiwood now. So, Prasati, you may now start.
Good evening, fellow delegate. Good evening, fellow delegate. We have delegate from Republic of Tunisia. There's me and my fellow delegate, Jim Wood. So let's move to the content. So we have seven content in our presentation of country report. Let's move to the first content. Tunisia, official name is Republic of Tunisia, which nationality is Tunisians. Our geography is located in the north of Africa, bordered by Algeria, Libya, and the Mediterranean Sea. We have three official languages: Tunisian, Arabic, Berber, and French. Our religion is French. Our political system is constitutional republic, and we gained independence in the 1956, 20th of March. Let's move to political system. Okay, geography. As mentioned before, we locate in Africa bordering, and the climate in the north with mild rainy winter and hot dry summer. In the desert south of the desert. The terrain mountain in the north, hot and dry, central plain, and downward into Sahara. The maritime plain of the Tunisia is the territorial sea, easy sea, and the continental shelf. Natural resource. Tunisia has a petroleum, phosphate, iron ore, and lead, dark, lime, and salt. Move to the third. So, so the government system of Tunisia is parliamentary, which has three branches. First is executive branch, which is currently President Kiir is the chief of state, and the Prime Minister Hisham Michichi is the head of the government. The cabinet appoint Prime Minister and approved by representative of the people. We also have a legislative branch, which is Ucameral Assembly of the Representative of the People. Judicial branch is the Court of Possessions. Move to the next one. People and society in Tunisia, there are three major different ethnic groups. First is Tunisian. First is Arab, which consists of 98% of the population. 1% is European and 1% is other. The official language is French. The second language is Berber, and one more is Arabic. The population growth is 15.21 births and 6.35 deaths, 2.08 total fatality rate, and literacy rate is 81%. Unemployment rate is 35%. In 2016, Tunisia has become the lower middle income, with the gross domestic cheap product of $10,000, and the degree of self-sufficiency of Indonesia is focused on bolstering export, foreign investment, and tourism, all of which become the central to the country economy.
Okay, Tunisia, can you please move to the next part?
Let's move to the military and defense. So, please. Pardon me. So, the military of the defense is a defense alliance. There's a main. So the defense alliance, the main military force in Tunisia is called Tunisian Armed Force, and the participant in internal and external conflict is currently none. The military strength in Tunisia is how combat personnel around 36,000. Military service and obligation, the gap between 20 and 23 years of age are obligatory to serve 1 year of service, and the volunteer service requirement age is around 18 to 23. International relations. Let's move to international relations. Currently, the Tunisia is joined the UN on November 12, 1956, and currently is one of the non-permanent member in the UNSC. All the IGO that Tunisia has joined is the International Olive Oil Council, which is Tunisia is one of the founding member. The International Oil Pollution Compensation Fund, which Tunisia joined in the 1992. Tunisia also joined Hague Conference for Private International Law, which joined in 2014, and in 1972, Tunisia also joined the International Civil Protection Organization.
Okay, Tanisha, thank you. Your time is up now. Saint Vincent and the Grenadine, are you okay now, technically? Okay, Tanisha, thank you.
Hello, teacher. Can you hear me well now?
Yes, we hear you well now. Please start.
So I've got a present about the Saint Vincent and the Grenadines. And our group member, including me, Chun Supanya, Nopchan Nirwat. So here is our content. And the first one is general knowledge. First, the location. The Saint Vincent and the Grenadines is located in the Caribbean Sea in the southeast Windward Island. And it is situated in the it is near in the north it's near Saint Lucia, and in the south it is nearby Grenada. In the west it lies with the Caribbean Sea, and in the east it lies with the North Atlantic Oceans. And about the capital, its capital is Kingstown, and the port is located in the capital. Their local currency is Eastern Caribbean dollar, and the GDP of the country is 12,485 and 18 cents. So it's like the size and demography. The area is the total area of the country is 369 square kilometer, and they have 32 islands, which is called the Grenadines, and one big mainland called Saint Vincent, and its population is 111,000 and 196 residents. And the population, the ethnicity is from African, mixed Eastern India, and indigenous people. And the religion, they have Protestant, Roman Catholic, Rastafarian, Jehovah Witness, and other. And the history. History after the declarations of the Treaty of Paris in 1763, British gained the control over the country, and in 1779, Saint Vincent was seized by French, and in 1783, it is under control by the British again, and finally gained the independence from the UK on 27 October 1979. And about the government and political structure. The country is parliamentary democracy and constitutional monarchy, and the head of state is Queen Elizabeth. She is a Governor General of Saint Vincent and the Grenadines. Then Susan represents Queen Elizabeth and hold the Governor General. And current Prime Minister is Ralph Gonsalves, and there are only two political parties in which they are New Democratic Party and United Labour Party. And this is legislative. The country is unicameral House of Assembly, and they have 16 members, which each of them serve 5-year term. And the juridical branch is divided into District Court, Eastern Caribbean, Supreme Court, and the Privy Council in London. The administrative division is divided into 6 parishes: Charlotte, Grenadines, St. Andrew, St. David, St. George, and St. Patrick. Saint Vincent has no formal armed force. Saint Vincent has a special service unit and military to help regulate the country. And about the economic, Saint Vincent is rely on agriculture. Banana is the main crop. They are also raise other crops such as cassava, edos, and so on and so forth. And fishery also played an important role in the country economic. And they also have hydropower from the hydropower station within their river in the mainland. About the trade, they import food stuff, machinery and equipment, chemical and fertilizer, mineral and fuel. And export, they export banana, edo, dashin, and arrowroot starch. Major trade partner, they are
Move to next part.
And about the foreign relation, they are close tied to Canada, United Kingdom, and the United States. The embassy only taken place in Taipei, London, Washington DC, Havana, Caracas, and Brussels. And the regional organization, they are part of Organization of Eastern Caribbean States and the Caribbean Community. And non-regional organization, they are the member of United Nations and the Organization of American States. And that's all.
Okay, thank you, Tunisia, Saint Vincent and the Grenadines. Next up, the United Kingdom. Okay, Sam Nang.
Could you see the slides, teacher?
Yes, yes.
I put it in slides so.
Mm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Hello all delegates and hello teacher. Praveen and I are the delegate from the UK, and here is our content. First, we have general information. The official name of UK is United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and the capital city is London. Language is English, and the currency is pound sterling. And the geographic trade, UK is located in the Western Europe, and it has immediate neighbor is Ireland to the west, and the total area is around 243,000 kilometers square, and the coastline is around 12,000 kilometers. And for the culture and society, there are three main religions. The majority is Christian, and then Muslim, and then Hindu. For the ethnic group, the white people are the majority, and the literacy rate is 99%. Unemployment rate is 3.17% in 2019, and government spent 10% of GDP on healthcare. And next, we move to government and politics. The type of government is parliamentary constitutional monarchy, and they are consist of three branches. First is executive. The cabinet is appointed by Prime Minister, and Prime Minister is the leader of the winning party. And for the legislative, the system is bicameral parliament, consists of House of Commons and House of Lords. For judiciary branch, it has Supreme Court. And the head of state is Queen Elizabeth II, and the Prime Minister is Prime Minister Boris Johnson. There are two main political parties. The first is also known as the winning party, is Conservative and Unionist Party, and the second is the Labour Party. Conservative Party has been in power since 2019. Next, move to the next part is economy. The GDP in 2020 is around $2,640 billion, and GDP per capita is almost 40,000 US dollars. And the degree of self-sufficiency, UK strong economy depend on financial service and manufacturing. And the distribution of income is 34.8. Inflation rate and the cost of living is 0.77% in 2020. The main import is manufactured goods, machinery, fuels, foodstuff, and the main export is manufactured goods, fuels, chemicals, food, beverages, and tobacco. Next is international relation. UK is has been the permanent member of the UNSC since 24 October 1945, and it has involved in many international institutions such as NATO, CON, UN, OECD, WTO, IMF, and World Bank. The main ally of UK is United States of America, and its main enemy is Russia Federation. And here is the key foreign policy. UK emphasizes on UK national security by countering terrorism and weapons proliferation and working to reduce conflict. Second is building the UK prosperity, increasing export and investment, opening markets, ensuring access to resources, and promoting sustainable global growth. And next, the last point is military and defense. UK is the member of NATO, and it spends around 2.43% of GDP on military, and it has around 1,050 active troops. And it has involved in recent conflict is Persian Gulf crisis in 2019. And here is the reference. Thank you. It's the end of my presentation.
Okay, thank you, United Kingdom, for the detailed report and also keeping up with the time. We're almost done. Sorry, we tried to finish this first before we go for a break. So the US, please take the floor.
Good evening, teacher and all delegates. My name is Chantal Dam, and with my teammate Ogdelia, and we are going to present about the United States of America. So the general information, the official name of the US is United States of America. Our citizens are called American. The capital city is Washington, D.C. We spoke English, and our currency is US dollar. Our national symbol is polygon, national color are red, white, and blue, and the national anthem is the Star Spangled Banner. And our government is constitutional federal republic, and we are divided into three branches of power: the executive, legislative, and judiciary branch. So the executive is headed by the president, and the legislature is bicameral, consists of the House of Representatives and the Senate, and the judiciary branch consists of 9 Supreme Court with 9 judges. And the head of state and the head of government are both positions belong to the president. The main political parties are the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Stability of the present political structure: the Democratic Party just won the presidency in the election of 2020. And the US is located in the continent of North America. The area is 9.8 million square. The coastline is 19,000 square. The climate are temperate in Hawaii, Florida, and Arctic in Alaska, and semi-arid in the Mississippi area. And the environmental concern are air pollution, water pollution, large emitter of CO2 because we are an industrial country, deforestation, mining, and desertification in California. And the availability of our natural resources are coal, copper, lead, uranium, oil, timber, petroleum, zinc, and gas. And our culture and society, our population growth is 12.33 birth and 8.35 death. So we have a 0.7 growth rate. And literacy rate is 79%. The employment rate is 8.6%. The healthcare condition is 5.7 deaths per 1,000 live births. And the state of communication and transportation services is strong and stable. And the racial group is dominated by white American, and the religion is dominated by Christianity. Our economy, GDP, is $20 trillion and $59,500 per capita. And the degree of self-sufficiency, the United States depend on advanced high technology services like managerial, professional, and technical. And the distribution of income is 41.1 in the world. The inflation rate is 0.02, and the main industry is high-tech service vendor and heavy industry. And main export and import, we mostly import agricultural products and export heavy machinery and technology. And our national alliance, defense alliance is NATO. The enemy is North Korea, China, and Russia. And the recent internal conflict is Black Lives Matter. The military service age is 18. And there is no conscription. And the expenditure of the military is near 3.87% of GDP. And for international relations, we join NATO, NAFTA, APEC, UN, and the Bretton Woods institutions like WTO, IMF, and World Bank. And we are the permanent member of the UNSC since October 24, 1945. And between the division of North and South, we are the highly industrial country. And the key event, we declare independence on 1776, fought the Civil War between 1861 and 1865, joined World War II and won it between 1941 and 1945, and engaged in the Cold War with the Soviet Union, 1946 and 1991. And the terrorist event is called the 9/11 event, which takes place on September 9, 2001. September 11, I'm sorry. So thank you for the attention.
Okay, thank you, United States. Last but not least, welcome Vietnam, Socialist Republic of Vietnam. Please take the floor now. Okay, Satya Nhiet. Okay, Chaniet or Kanitha will present.
I will be presenting.
Okay.
Yes. Hello, everybody. We are the representatives of delegates of Vietnam. Next slide. Hello, next slide. Yeah. This is a table of content where we will be covering firstly the government and politics. Next slide. So the country is Socialist Republic of Vietnam, and its language is Vietnamese. The country became a one-party communist state in 1975 after unifying both the North and the South, and then later on adopted socialism. It has three branches: the executive, judiciary, and legislative. The National Assembly is a Supreme Court, and it elects the president and the vice president. The cabinet consists of members that are named by the Prime Minister and approved by the Assembly. Next slide. As for its geographical traits, Vietnam is a country that is located in Southeast Asia, neighboring Cambodia, Thailand, China, and Laos, and it also has maritime claims. Next slide. And just like Cambodia, it's affected by monsoon seasons, which consists of hot, rainy, warm, and dry. More than that, it has two important rivers, which are the Red River and the Mekong River. Vietnam also faces severe pollution such as the air and water pollution, especially from industrialization and overfishing and deforestation and so on. Next slide. As for its culture and society, Vietnam's made up a population of 96 million with multiple religions and race, such as Buddhism, Catholic, Protestants, Muslims. It has a literacy rate of 95% and unemployment rate of 2.01%. Next. As for the economy, Vietnam has a GDP of $262 billion and $2,715 per capita, and owed to its strong manufacturing exports and its growth in domestic demand, it has helped Vietnam's GDP grow by 6.8%. Its main exports and imports are shown, such as clothes, shoes, electronics, machinery, steel products, and so on. Next, we have the military and the national defense. Vietnam does not have any defense alliance. Their male citizens, are required to complete a 2-year military service. Next slide, please. And while it doesn't have any military alliance, it does share allies with other countries through international organizations such as the UN, WTO, WHO, and so on. And yeah, that is all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, delegate from Socialist Republic of Vietnam, our chair later on. So, okay, we don't see her. We don't see Kanitha today. Hopefully, we see the chairperson in our next session.
Yes.
Thank you everybody for your very detailed presentation. I appreciate your time on spending on the preparation for this. I've noticed that some of the countries really, content wise, you actually really presented a lot and you shown to us those useful information that we see. I will just comment a bit only on the presentation because I've noticed that some countries chose to really present this country report as really someone from the country, right? So instead of saying that this country or that country, he or she actually speak from the perspective of someone really coming from that country, right? For example, we have a GDP of this and that, right? And that is the good point that shows how you actually try to connect yourself as a delegate to the country that you represent, right? So I also hope that throughout our discussion, you will really speak from that perspective, right? A delegate from a country speaking for your country. Okay, so I'm taking a bit of your time over today. We will take just very short break, and after this we will actually look into a bit of the situation in Somalia. It is not really a lecture from me, but we will try to have a bit more interaction as to the case that I'm going to share, some of the key points of Somalia that we have to keep in mind through our discussion. And also we would like to hear some of comments from all of you in regards to how you as a delegate view the situation in Somalia now, right? Okay, so we will take a break. Please come back by 7:40. Okay, so 7:40 we will resume the discussion. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, so thank you. We will take a short break. See you at 7:40. Okay, welcome back. Most of you are here now, very on time. Thank you for that. Before we start with the discussion on Somali crisis today, is there anything you would like to raise from the previous session on the presentation of country report or any other thing prior to that? Anything? Everybody hear me?
Yes, sir, yes.
So quiet like this, I don't know if you hear me or you don't. Okay, so I assume there are nothing you want to ask. I heard from my colleague that sometimes when you don't speak, there are two cases. Either you understand everything or most of what we discussed, or you actually don't understand at all but don't want to ask, right? So I hope for us it is the first case and not the second. If really there is something you are not clear up to now, you should ask. And I also hope that by this time you are very familiar with me already, or there is nothing to be shy. All right, so today I am going to share to you some point in regards to the situation in Somalia, right? So throughout my discussion, I would also like to hear from you as the delegate, because it is good that you share your understanding on this issue. It can be from you personally, as a participant or as a student, or it can also come from the perspective of the country that you represent, right? Because as we see that the member states, some of you are actually having an involvement in this country, Somalia, and some do not. But in a way, we are all here to contribute something, especially on how to solve the problem in this country. Okay, so I am not sharing my screen or sharing my slide to you. I will present slowly, point by point, and I hope you take a note on this. It is not really aiming to give you the information of Somalia per se. I'm not going to really tell you what is there, but I would like to bring more of the general discussion of what is going on there, what is the overall situation that the council need to address, right? So we will begin. I will really structure my discussion today into three main parts. The first one, we will look into the key timelines of the event. And as I mentioned in my message there, we will just focus our discussion starting from the year 2012, right, until now. And the reason why I'm choosing 2012 or 2012 as the starting point, it was because it was the year that the formal government, the formal parliament, and also the formal electoral system really start to take place in Somalia. Of course, before that, we saw some transitional government in place, but we are not able to look back too far from 2012 due to our constraint on time as well, right? So the first one, I'm going to look into those key timelines or the involvement of the event that lead to the problem now. Then the second part, I'm going to look into the key actors as well as the involvement from other states. It will be from within the region and also across the region, like internationally. So that will be the second part. And the third part is looking into how that problem, how the situation in Somalia reflect to what Somalians are experiencing right now, right? And according to what I decided last week also, that we will really scope down our discussion to just on the political instability and humanitarian crisis. Of course, within political instability, there are a lot of points to look at, and also humanitarian crisis as well. But at least we are trying to look into the key problem that is happening there now, the problem that are leaving many millions of Somalians displaced and many that are experiencing hungers and also malnutrition, right? And hopefully we are also able to discuss among us on how this problem can be solved as well, right? Okay, so let's look into the first part, which is on the key timeline. So as I said, we are actually looking into 2012 as our benchmark there, because back into August that year, we see that Somalia was able to form a formal parliament, right? In the past 20 years, there's no such thing happening in Somalia. Somalia was actually falling into a deep civil war and the humanitarian crisis, even before 2012, right? And we see that within 2012, the president, Hassan Sheikh Mohammed, was elected. In fact, this president was quite interesting in a sense that when he came into power, he actually emerged from an academic background, right? He was also a civil activist. So his background as the activist, as something very down to earth, very educated, is actually what is helping him to come into power, right? Because Somalian back then just really need a leader that understand their problem, that can speak for them, rather than someone from military background that are considered to be more violent, right? So President Hassan was very popular, and he came up to power with the idea, with the goal that he will try to end the crisis, the conflict in Somalia, and make sure that he will be able to fight against the terrorist group, right? And we all know what the main terrorist group in Somalia is, right? Al-Shabab. And then we see that because in 2012, the president was elected. In 2013, the US government decided to recognize the government of Somalia, right? It didn't happen before, even in the transitional government. The US government did not openly recognize the government of Somalia, but in 2013, the US government actually did. And the recognition from the US government is actually giving a what we call to justify the power that is governed by the president and by the government of Somalia, that it is legitimate. Okay, but as we mentioned, the goal of the president was to fight against the terrorist group, and in fact, the terrorist group continue to fight hand in hand with the government, to fight against the government. And we see that in 2013 as well, there are a lot of violent attack, right? But that violent attack does not happen just within Somalia itself. Al-Shabaab extended its operation beyond Somalia border and carry out few attacks on Kenya. Okay, so we actually have Kenya here representing. We will hopefully later on see how that attack engage Kenya into the politics of Somalia as well later on. Okay, and we continue to see that Al-Shabaab carry out the attack. For example, in 2015, it actually attacked the university in Kenya and killed almost 150 people. And because of all of the problem that was happening from time to time, even after Somalia got the president, in 2016, the African Union leaders had a meeting and decided, okay, we have to support in terms of funding and the assistance, military assistance to Somalia. Otherwise, this country will really falling deeper into the conflict, into the terrorist attack, right? And then in 2017, Somalia elected a new president. His name quite long, Muhammad Abdullahi Muhammad, or called as the Farmajo. So Farmajo became quite an international figure, and he attended the meeting with the United Nations as well and requested that other countries lifted sanctions from Somalia, right? Because only the sanction on the arm, right? The arm embargo is lifted that Somalia is able to fight against the terrorist group. So by 2017, already the new president wanting to continue fighting the terrorist group in Somalia because they all believe that the terrorist group attacking the government, the legitimate government, is the key problem that is leading into a lot of crisis, right? So that is showing how the presence of the terrorist group are dividing the peace within Somalia itself politically. And we see that the attack, the bomb attack from the terrorist group did not end, even though the troop from the government side, from Somalian government, is fighting against it. It actually gaining a lot of ground, right? And some of the researchers said that there are some state-sponsored terrorist group that is working behind the growth of the Al-Shabaab. And although there's no clear evidence, but some country blame Eritrea for actually supplying a lot of support to this specific terrorist group, the Al-Shabaab. Okay, so when talking about Al-Shabaab as a terrorist group, any one of you can tell us further of why this terrorist group Al-Shabaab is very famous, right? When talking about Somalia and the crisis, we always link it closely to Al-Shabaab. So what is actually Al-Shabaab? Can anyone tell us?
Sure. Al-Shabaab is an Islamic radicalist.
Okay.
They are, yes, sir?
Yes, I hear you.
They are a terrorist group like ISIS.
Okay, but then what is the main goal of Al-Shabaab? Why is it continuing to attack on the government, on the civilian in Somalia? Dom?
I think it's
I
to.
think okay, continue.
You can go first.
No, you go first. Woman first.
I think it's to make Somalia follow Sharia law, an Islamic law.
Okay, what else?
And to take control the Somalian territory over like the whole Somali. I think that's what I know.
Okay, that's what Burma I know. Then Udom?
Yes, sure. I think yeah, my answer is the same as her. Actually, they want to turn Somalia into an Islamic state. Sure.
Okay, so in fact, the Al-Shabaab, the really main or ultimate goal is to actually create a caliphate or the state that is governed by Sharia law, which is the very strict Islamic law, right? And when talking about Sharia law, we see that this kind of extreme law that is planned to be imposed on Somalia has led to a lot of abuse and also restriction, especially on women and the children, right? And this kind of law, of course, some will claim that it is good, but the way that Al-Shabaab is trying to achieve the goal is too extreme. Okay? When talking about Al-Shabaab as well, it is important to see that the group is said to be operating within Somalia with a strong base outside of Mogadishu, the capital city. And at the same time, this Al-Shabaab generate its funding from a lot of extortion on the local businesses. It also involved in piracy that we are not touching on, but we see that this kind of activities such as kidnapping, extortion, and also funding from the other terrorist group is what keep this terrorist group Al-Shabaab operating, continue to exist in Somalia, and that is a major concern, right? When it's trying to fight against the government, the ultimate casualty is on the civilian, right? So I hope you will look in a further detail on Al-Shabaab. But okay, this is a clear actor that involved in Somali case. And in our discussion to find solution, of course, a big part of it will be really looking into how we can solve the problem in regards to this aspect on terrorism. Okay, so that is already one actor that we mentioned, which is the Al-Shabaab or the terrorist group. But within that actor, or we classify it into the militia group, Al-Shabaab one. The other one is also quite powerful within Somalia. We call them as the ASWJ or Alu Sunnah wal Jamaa, right? It is also a terrorist group, not as powerful as Al-Shabaab, but it is significant because it is considered to be the moderating force that try to balance the power of Al-Shabaab in Somalia. Some said that ASWJ are actually working for the government to fight against Al-Shabab, but some say this group is actually generate funding from the foreign sources and also trying to fight against the government. Okay? But I bring this up for us to really see that in terms of the militia fighting against the government, it is not only Al-Shabaab. There is also another group that are trying to regain control and power in Somalia. Okay. The other key actor, aside from what we consider as the militia or the terrorist group, is the Somalian federal government itself, which, as we know, formed in 2012. We see that the Somalian federal government is, of course, internationally recognized as a government representing Somalia. But looking deeper into the structure and the influence of the Somalian federal government, we see that the SFG, Somalian federal government, is not that powerful outside of the capital city, Mogadishu. Right? So power of the federal government is concentrated in the capital city, while the outskirts or other parts of the country are actually controlled by different clan or different military groups. Right? So in fact, looking into Somalia history as well, we see a strong and powerful role of different clans, right? And different clan leaders, or what we call as the elders. So because the government is formed and stationed within just the capital city, those elders, those clan leaders are still able to concentrate their power on the control of their own clan. And that creates a lot of friction within the Somalian government as well. Okay, the third key actor of the Somalian conflict is the non-state actor, right? We see that despite the government, despite the terrorist group, we see the involvement of the other non-state actors, such as civil societies, that are aiming to bring funding, that are aiming to work to fight for the freedom of expression within Somalia. Right? Within the non-state actor as well, we see the powerful role of the business community. Right? The business community in Somalia, the largest one be the telecommunication sector, are also working closely with government to ensure that there is enough information provided within Somalia and also across Somalia. Business community also try to make sure that there is a smooth flow of funding from outside of Somalia into this country, so economy can still run despite having a lot of conflict. And the other actor, aside from non-state actor, so far we have three main already. We have the government, we have the military or the militia or the terrorist group. Third one be the non-state actors, civil societies and business community. The fourth one are the regional actors. Okay. In fact, conflict in Somalia is multidimensional, right? Multi-actor involvement. We see that regionally, some countries such as Ethiopia, which is said to be the one who brought the Al-Shabaab into power, because this country actually invaded Somalia back in 2006. So after Ethiopia invaded or carried out attack on Ethiopia on Somalia, it creates fraction within Somalia, and One of it is the Al-Shabab, which is formed because of this kind of invasion that is happening. Then we have Kenya that involved in the conflict because the Al-Shabaab believe that Kenya is supporting the government to fight against the Al-Shabaab itself. So it attacked Kenya as a threat not to involve further in the Somalia situation. We also see Uganda. Uganda involvement in Somalia is more on the peacekeeping side, right? Providing troops to ensure peace and security in the country. We see Eritrea as one of the actors that is accused of funding Al-Shabaab, although there is no clear evidence or clear acceptance from Eritrea that it supports, but we see that Eritrea is very active in the Somalia problem. We also see Yemen as well as the Gulf states, especially Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. Qatar, UAE are involving more in terms of economic influence, trying to control economy of Somalia, and in a way, this also affects how Somalia function as an independent state, right? So those are few actors in the region. While the last group of actors that we see are what we would classify as the multilateral actors, right? The coalition of different group of countries trying to involve in Somalia, hoping that they can help this country get out of the conflict. One of it is, of course, the United Nations. United Nations has deployed the peacekeeping mission in Somalia from time to time, and we see how active the UNSC involved in Somalia and try to bring peace to this country. We also see the second actor in the multilateral group, which is the AMISOM, the African Mission in Somalia. The African Mission in Somalia, of course, started since 2007, but it is extended to till the end of this year because the United Nations Security Council see that the complete withdrawal of the AMISOM from Somalia will actually make Somalia collapse. So far, AMISOM has involved in a lot of security-related issues. AMISOM tried to give support and also train Somalian forces to make sure that upon withdrawal of AMISOM troop or the forces, Somalia force will be able to handle the security task within Somalia itself. The third actor in multilateral group, we see the United States, the EU countries. We also see involvement of Turkey, especially with the Islamic group within Somalia. And also, last but not least, we see a lot of aid agencies. For example, a World Food Program. We see the United Nations human rights offices also trying to involve in Somalia, bringing aid, bringing humanitarian assistance to the people there, right? So just to recap, when we look into the key actors in Somalia, we will see the Somalian federal government, one actor. Then we see the terrorist groups, which so far we identify two main terrorist groups, Al-Shabab and Alu Sunnah wal Jamaa, ASWJ. Then the third key group of actors are the non-state one, civil society, business community, or diaspora as well in the non-state actors. Then the fourth group of actors are the regional actors, which look into the neighboring states of Somalia and how they involve in the conflict. And last but not least, the key actors are the multilateral group, which consists of the UN mission, and also some other countries, and also the aid agencies. Okay, any question up to this point or anything you would want to add on this? No?
Like, can you
Yes.
state the terrorist group, the other one again? Because the name
Other
is too
one
long.
is Al-Shabaab or ASWJ.
Yes, thanks.
Sure. I would like to ask you one question. You stated earlier that Al-Shabaab was backed by one country, sure, even though there is no clear evidence. But what is the country again, sure?
Al-Shabaab,
Yes.
Eritrea. You heard me?
No, sure.
The country is called Eritrea, Eritrea.
Okay, just saying.
Okay, so when a terrorist group is supported or funded by a country, we tend to classify it as a state-sponsored terrorist group, right? But in the case of Al-Shabaab, it is not clear how Eritrean government support this group, because it seems that Al-Shabaab has a stronger tie to Al-Qaeda, right? Which from time to time Al-Shabaab would declare strong support from this Al-Qaeda group, and also how its action or its activity align with that of the Al-Qaeda. Okay? That's why it is quite difficult to really identify the exact support across the border to Al-Shabaab. But we know that within Somalia, the operation of Al-Shabaab helps to sustain itself, right? Because Al-Shabaab carried out kidnapping in Somalia, it also set up different checkpoints outside of Mogadishu, outside of the capital city, for those businesses to pay tax, right? So in a way, this is how the funding is generated and support the operation of Al-Shabaab. Okay, it is important, right? I keep on mentioning the source of funding of the terrorist group Al-Shabaab, because when we look into how we can actually break the terrorist group, it is important to look into how it survived, right? By knowing how the operation is funded, we are able to look into how this channel can be cut. Hopefully, this will lead to a weaker operation and also the source of funding, which at the end will lead to the collapse of the operation of the Al-Shabaab. Right? But so far, honestly, we still find it hard to defeat Al-Shabaab, and this will be the task of the member state to see how we can we can support each other in fighting the terrorist group, and also at the same time looking into how we can end the funding that is continue to flow into Somalia, because we can see that some of the neighboring states still want Somalia to really continue its war, to continue its crisis, so that they can actually take advantage over the resources in Somalia and also the political control. Right? So, any further question?
Teacher,
Mm.
the
Vincent?
other ASWJ, they fight to counter Al-Shabaab, right?
Yes. So they are actually, okay, when talking about terrorist group, it is more or less linked to the ideology. Okay? Al-Shabaab wanted to create an Islamic state controlled by the Sharia law, while the ASWJ, they have different ideologies. They are fighting against what we call as the Wahhabism. The Wahhabism is one main ideology in Islam as well, but this Wahhabism is an extreme form of practice in Islam that will ultimately also aim to create an Islamic state. So the ASWJ ultimate goal is not to create the Islamic state that is governed by Sharia law. That's why it is said that the ASWJ are fighting against the Al-Shabaab for the control of the government as well, but it is not aiming to establish the caliphate or the Islamic State. So the operation of ASWJ is somehow still very controversial, because some evidence pointed to ASWJ as fighting against the government, while some evidence shows that in fact such operation is carried out on behalf of the Somalian government, right? It's like the Somalian government is using ASWJ to fight against the Al-Shabaab. So instead of fighting as the government agency, the Somalian government is supporting another terrorist group to fight against Al-Shabaab. Okay, did I answer to your question?
Loud and clear, Chair, thank you.
So, you will need to look further into this operation and see whether the goal of the United Kingdom is actually aligning to what the Somalian government is doing, and whether you find the evidence, strong evidence that Somalian government is supporting terrorist group to fight against another terrorist group, because this is important for you as a country to see these and see whether you are okay with government supporting terrorist group. And if you are not okay, then it will also change your policy toward this country as well. Okay. So moving on to my third section of the discussion today, which is looking into the political instability and humanitarian crisis, right? The key focus of our discussion. We see how Somalia is actually in a deep crisis, not just politically, but humanitarian aspect, it is also getting worse. Politically, political instability in Somalia we see that it is coming in a form of civilian abuses. We see that both government and the non-government, the terrorist group, abuse civilian. They are still choosing to recruit children as a soldier. We still see that women are experiencing sexual abuses from those who are holding power in the government and those who are in the terrorist group. So women and children are subject to a lot of abuses in Somalia. Then we also see that the freedom of expression is very limited. We see that good governance in Somalia is almost zero, is almost not in place, because as we discussed earlier, the government or legitimacy is only strong in the capital city. Extending beyond that, the control is very fractionated, right, within the clan leaders. So different clans has their different leaders. They more or less respect and listen more to the clan leader than the leader of the central government. Okay? And the other point that is also leading to political instability is the corruption. Okay, so Somalia is always on the bottom of the list when it comes to the corruption index. Aside from all of these political instability problem, we see that Somalians are having a lot of problem when it comes to the welfare of the people, right? We see the problem of displacement. So far, around 2.6 million are internally displaced within Somalia, and some are actually moved to the neighboring state to run away from violence and also abuses. Not only just the political instability that lead to the displacement, some of the problems such as famine and flood also force millions of Somalians into moving into actually running away from their home to find a better shelter. Humanitarian crisis in Somalia also lead to poor health, and the diseases spread very fast and very high death rate because of lack of access to health care. We see food insecurity. We see malnutrition among children. So far, the United Nations has reported around 1 million children that are malnourished, right? Not enough nutrition to survive. It is also because of the inaccessibility to humanitarian assistance, right? Because Al-Shabaab is powerful and it aims to fight against the aid agencies, people that are outside of the control of the government in Mogadishu do not have access to humanitarian assistance from outside of the country. Right? So the only way that they can get access to humanitarian assistance is to flee, is to move to urban city. Right? So we see massive flock of population moving from the outskirts into the capital city and also to the neighboring states, and this creates another problem of urban insecurity, of the issue of refugee in the other states as well. Right? And when the number of Somalian that are experiencing humanitarian problem keeps on increasing every day and the support is lacking, the international community is trying to garner supports for more access to humanitarian assistance as well as more funding pumping into the UN agencies and other aid agencies. Hopefully this can reach the typical Somalian inside Somalia. Right, so these are the key problems that are happening in Somalia from both the political aspect and humanitarian aspect. Right? If you ask me whether we can actually separate these two, political instability and humanitarian crisis, from one another, it is almost impossible for us to do so. Right? That's why I bring these two all together. Of course, political instability is one issue, humanitarian crisis is one issue, but again and again, they are closely connected. Because of political instability, because of violence, conflict in Somalia, that's why humanitarian crises continue to persist, right? And because this humanitarian crisis still continue from time to time, it is hard for Somalian government to achieve a, a peaceful or the smooth operation of the government, right? People are still fighting for food. People are still dying from lacking access to hospital or clean water or nutrition. Then how can the government actually run, right? So in a way, you can't really separate the political instability from humanitarian crisis, but it is good to look into these two problems but separately when you try to propose solution, right? Because some solution only work in solving political instability, but not on humanitarian crisis. But at the end, the solution must really try to solve both of these problems, right? Do you get my point, or it sounds confusing to you? Okay, in your research, do you also find another problem outside of what we discussed now that you think we should also try to find solution to it?
The ungrateful action from the terrorist group.
Again, please, Tirat.
The ungrateful activities that have been conducted by the terrorist group like Al-Shabab. So they rape women, they rape kids, and they do the suicide attack on specific place, something like this. Sure.
Yeah, so this point will fall under the political instability, right? The civilian abuses. So you can categorize that activities of the terrorist group into the civilian abuses, which is part of the problem that is leading to political instability. And when you try to propose the solution, we have to look into how we can end such activities from the terrorist group so that we can achieve political stability in Somalia. Okay?
Yes, sure.
Any other point? Hmm?
Economy, teacher.
Okay, so this point is how we are going to bring back economy of Somalia, right? So I would, okay, this is a good point. That will also bring us into the discussion of whether we will try to achieve political political stability first, or we try to achieve an economic stability first, right? And in this case, let us try to link political stability to the economic stability. How solving problem economically in Somalia can lead to political stability there. But I would recommend that we look into how we solve the problem of humanitarian crisis first, and then we bring the economy running. Ultimately, we actually solve the problem of political stability in Somalia as a whole, right? So we do not skip the discussion of economic stability or the prosperity in Somalia, but in order to do so, we hope that we try to solve the more urgent problem that is happening now, right? For example, people are dying from lack of access to humanitarian assistance. So we solve this first, believing that by having enough to eat, and they will be able to go further than just surviving, right? They will strive to get better, and in a way this will bring about more change in political system of Somalia. So it's good. We can also put the discussion of economic aspect into this as well, but we will try to link it together with the other two. Right, Serena, the answer to your point?
Yes, sure, yes.
In a way, political and economy cannot be totally separated. It is just a matter of priority, which one we will go first, right? And we don't aim to answer this question as to what to pick first, politic or economic, right? But rather how we can save more life. And by saving life, we hope to really bring up Somalia once again. Okay, any further question? I know you have read more than what I just discussed now, and there are hello. Sorry, my home got no more electricity now, so connection is interrupted. We have to end the discussion now. I know some of you perhaps have some more question. You can leave your comment, or you can actually directly message me if you have any, right? So is it okay that I end the class now?
Yes,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry for this. So I will communicate further with you either on MS Team or through your class monitor on what we are going to do next.
Yes, sir.
Right, so have a good night and thank you for your
Next
time
week holiday,
today.
sir.
Sir, next week holiday, sir.
Next week holiday, sir.
No lah. Is it?
Yes, sir. Next week,
Yes,
client.
right.
One week.
Graduate starts on 14.
Oh,
Well,
we
well.
follow our calendar, sir. They
We have
since Monday,
1
sir.
week holiday.
Oh, okay lah. So I will discuss more. I will really tell you what will we do next. Okay. Don't forget to submit to me your position paper before 9 p.m. tonight.
Already, sir.
Done, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Stay safe and take.
Goodbye, Cha.
Good night, like. Bye.